So please tell me I'm not the only one noticing something concerning about Silver and Blood. Before chapter 15, I noticed a lot of unfinished story journals, so I thought, well that's good for the future because there's lots of characters to develop and stories to tell. Then we noticed something about chapters 16 and beyond. No voice acting. Okay, that's one small flag there, fine, but then we get no voice acting in the last event, and finally, we come to the September mobile revenue for the game. Uh-oh. I'm not necessarily saying the numbers are horrible, but the drop-off is insane. So what it's looking like more and more is a drying budget. We already have indicators of a low-budget game. The scenes and 3D models are stagnant, non-dynamic. This tells us that the revenue allocation has to be focused elsewhere. But where? Is it the writing? Well again, what once looked like a practice and restraint to slowly drip out the story is now looking like, we don't got it, chief. Look at the writing for the last two events. The way new vassals were introduced were just fine, standard, the old college try. But before those two, we were blessed with rich world building to introduce these characters. I'll get specific. Stella comes from a spatial temporal rift called the Other Side. Sure, maybe the main game kinda grazes over this slightly, but for all intents and purposes, it could've well just been the other side of the street. Like in no way did it add to the world. Then Fanny. Where's she from? Again, a spatial temporal rift. Yes, it's more interesting because she's a warden of the church's prison, but still it does little to serve the main game. I know we don't have the Halloween event announced yet, but to kick off the most gothic month of the year, I expected something a little more robust. And that's it. The game might as well be caught in its own little space-time rift because I'm not seeing much progression. Now I gotta reflect because maybe I'm getting doomy gloomy too early. Maybe I'm expecting too much. This is an idle mobile game after all. Think Memento Mori, but with more engaging mechanics. But that's the issue, personally speaking. They built an irresistible gothic hook, but once you're in, there's almost nothing to do. And that mismatch is my core issue. More on that later, but come to think of it, this is a good problem to have. Silver lining, if you will. There's so much unrealized potential with this game just to be something to open and close within 15 minutes. But with a drying revenue stream, I'm hoping we get to play long enough to see its potential maximized. So how did it get here? Unfortunately, I'm gonna come off like the kid who reminds teacher there's homework due. As a day oneer, the first thing I noticed was how generous the game was, even past its honeymoon phase. So much so that I've gotten this much pull currency and have only bought the monthly pass once in scrolls just to do a summon challenge. And I haven't skipped any character banners. Other than that, I genuinely don't know what they expect me to spend on. The game's like Nikke, so if we're on long enough, we'll eventually get them all. I don't max limit break any new characters when they release, and I didn't even max limit break the power defining Timeless Iona, and she's pushed me to farm all the gear available. So, was Timeless Iona a misstep? Well, let's think of the new players who might not even have the character. What are they getting into? If you started after Against the Dying Light, well, it's been kinda dry to be honest. Let's look into the game modes other than the story. We got lots of quality of life features early on, which means most of the modes are auto clears. The game itself isn't hard at all, and it demands very little of our time with dailies. Generosity and quality of life help us immensely, but then we're left with nothing to do. The one game mode that we can grind till infinity is the Time War Mausoleum, and even that's getting an auto clear feature. So what do the devs want us to do exactly? Well, I think we need other game modes. Satin Boudoir? I'm not even gonna hate on the Goonership this time around, but I'll just say the actual game mode itself comes off a tad desperate. Yes, the characters are suggestive enough for us to beg the question, to goon or not to goon, but firstly, I'm not even gonna consider it a game mode. It's in the castle, not the courtyard. Part 2, it's undercooked. We got one character that we can engage with in this mode, but that's it. And it feels like it'll be for new characters moving forward, but I could be wrong. Again, I think the perceived lack of funds is really showing here. The event minigames were never of high quality, and it's been very obvious they were never supported well to begin with. For one, that needs to change. If you devs are so into thievery, I want to see it done with more intent. It's so easy, check this out. Nikke's got S-tier event minigames. What happens to those minigames after the event? They get archived so we can keep playing them forever. That Memory of Goddess minigame is straight crack. I'd be on that shit for at least 30 minutes. And you all remember what inspired that whole wave of reverse bullet hell roguelike games, right? A game called fucking Vampire Survivors. Literally, it's right there. Please tell me someone on the dev team's already thought of this. I can't be... Up the quality of these minigames, because if they eventually do get archived, no one's trying to play the Spider Journey bullshit looking like a Flash browser game from the 2000s. Newgrounds, any unks out there? Overall, we need more game modes. It's crazy I'm out here crying about quality of life and generous resources, but it truly is a double-edged sword. Never, and I mean never, nerf any of this. It's horrible practice. But if you give me all this time and money and sit me in a room with nothing to do, what do I spend it on? We're living in the attention economy, and if the whole purpose is to grab our attentions, you already got it with the aesthetics and world of the game. But if we're being honest, upon closer inspection, what else you got? And maybe that's a personal issue, or what I'm trying to say is, getting lured into this rich world of vampires and monsters, political intrigue, time warp shenanigans, the allure is incredible, but it's frustrating we can't interact with it more. Speaking of attention to detail would be greatly appreciated. You guys see how they use screenshots to portray flashbacks in this event? I really want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm hoping their attention is focused on something more important in the near future. But detail in the base game also needs some attention. The 3D models, for the most part, are lifeless. The portraits are amazing and we need to bridge that gap better. And what's more, the paid battle pass skins are lazy recolors, and when they're not, hit or miss. Look at Maid Lamia for example. The portrait's gorgeous, but then the 3D model? That's false advertising. Lazy. Yeah, maybe the point of the battle pass is for passive resources, but again, for what? At a certain point, the urge to pull on standard has diminishing returns, especially for older players. So attention, not to mention, the competition is rising at a crazy pace. We're literally entering the next gen of gacha since the COVID days. As far as the future of what I want to make videos on, I'll be making Silver and Blood videos until the end, but other shit's creeping up. You don't think we want to experience what Moramins feels like with a proper budget? We're definitely going to want to see what the gachaless gachas are all about. And that's my next point. I might be in the minority here, but whenever I hear that gachas are for gambling addicts or whatever, for people who need to be hyper-stimulated by digital titties, I don't know, man. Really, why even play these is progression through live service, which breeds a live community. So here's a confession. Most of the time I play RPGs, but rarely do I ever get past 99%. Why? Because after the story, even if there is a new game plus, all the characters and stories I grew attached to are rendered, well, NPCs. The whole world dies at the end and there's nothing to do but walk around ghost towns having the same hollow interactions, and that's where live service games kick in with their constant updates. So yeah, I'll be making more S&B videos, but don't get surprised if I come through with the Chaos Zero or Duet Night stuff either. I mentioned that the competition for Silver and Blood's already looking like too much for the devs to keep up with, but I can be very glass half empty. Silver and Blood's biggest weapon to compete against these new gen games is it's just different. Just going through the UI and not staring at sterile futuristic layouts is already a win, you know? Finally, a game that doesn't sound like we're hacking the Pentagon every time we open up the shop menu. Part 2, the characters are so much more thoughtfully designed than the rest of the gacha scene. But is it doomed to stay a niche genre with the vampires and all? That's not even a good excuse at this point. Twilight activated a whole sleeper cell generation of emo kids deep in the Hot Topic era. Nosferatu was the best movie I've seen in a long time. Dracula's getting a new movie, and between Wednesday and Frankenstein getting Netflix placements, goth is thriving in the algorithm. Point is, something needs to happen to this game for us to keep coming back. The world's too rich to leave us with barely anything to do, and with a seemingly depleted budget, the scale might be trapped leaning into style over substance. Or maybe they pre-jaculated their budget somewhere, cause if we're to guess about any collaborations, just freeze at the summons. Your eyes don't deceive you. It's Forge Masters Isaac and Hector from Castlevania. Is this more theft or foreshadowing? So honestly, yes, these may be silly anxieties about the direction of the game. I'll admit I freaked out a bit when I saw the mobile revenue drop off, which forced me to confront the fact that this game looks like it's held together by duct tape at times. But it's gorgeous nonetheless, and I want to see it win because it oozes personality and shows us flashes of brilliance. There's a lot of untapped potential here, and I want to see it survive the transition into next-gen gacha. But what do you guys think? Is this game lacking, or is it just me? When'd you start? How do you feel about any of this? Am I being too harsh, expecting too much? What games are you excited to play? Let me know, and until then,